Hillary Clinton has officially declined to debate Bernie Sanders in California ahead of the primary on June 7th. She previously promised she would debate him, but now she said, nah, don't want to do it anymore. Sorry. So her campaign released a statement. They said, "We have declined Fox News' invitation to participate in a debate in California. As we have said previously, we plan to compete hard in the remaining primary states, particularly in California, while turning our attention to the threat of Donald Trump, to the threat that a Donald Trump presidency poses. We believe that Hillary Clinton's time is best spent campaigning and meeting directly with voters across California and preparing for a general election campaign that will ensure the White House remains in Democratic hands." Okay, so why did she say no? Well, she's actually admitting it right here in this statement. She doesn't want to be bothered with sounding liberal in the primary process because she wants to move to the right for the general election. She already began her general election pivot, as they call it. So now, to be bogged down by progressive Bernie Sanders in a debate where he's no doubt going to continue hammering the same themes, rightfully so, whether it's, lack of regulation on Wall Street, money in politics, and corruption, and, all these different things that are super important. Well, Hillary's trying to now distance herself from those left-wing positions because in her mind and in the minds of her silly campaign advisors, they think, in order to win in a general, you have to run to the right. And in this story lies the irony of the Hillary Clinton campaign. They have no clue what they're doing. See, in reality, it would actually help Hillary for a general election if she were to debate Bernie Sanders now in California. It would help her. Why? Because Bernie actually would keep her honest and not, she's not honest, let's be clear about that, but Bernie would keep her left in her rhetoric. And if you keep her left in her rhetoric, she's actually more likely to do better in the general. But they still, to this day, the Democratic strategists, they still have no clue that their entire model and framework is just wrong in how you run campaigns. Like back in the day when it was, when Bill Clinton won in the 1990s, it was the right strategy to be a so-called new Democrat because at the time in the country, people were just getting over the old Democratic Party, which rightly or wrongly, I think wrongly, was tied to elements that were considered fringe. Like, for example, the hippie movement. When the hippie movement was prominent, the Democrats did not do well electorally on a federal level. Why? Because people said, policy aside, policy didn't factor into it. I don't know. I don't like the people they're in bed with. I don't like these dirty, young hippies with the tie-dye shirts and the rock music. The Democrats seem extreme. So along comes Bill Clinton wearing a suit. He says, I'm a new Democrat. I'm somebody who sometimes I agree with the right, sometimes I agree with the left. I'm above the fray. I do this thing called triangulation, which means I'm so centrist that I'm so reasonable that you should vote for me, not these Republicans. And then he won. So at the time, the wisdom was, in the general, you can run in the primary, you can run somewhat to the left. In the general, sprint to the right. Sprint to the right, because, hey, only right-wingers win general elections, because at the time, what had just happened? 8 years of Ronald Reagan and then 4 years of George H.W. Bush. So it was a long time, it was only Republicans winning the presidency. So he was, I don't know, what do we do? Just copy the Republicans, move to the right, and then we'll get elected. And it worked. But then now Hillary's still trying to do the same model like it's 1992. It's not 1992 anymore. What has happened since those years? George W. Bush. We had George W. Bush, who was a neocon, who was super far right, and he was a disaster in every imaginable way. On foreign policy, he sucked, started an unnecessary war. On the economy, he sucked too. With the help of your husband, he crashed the economy because they were in favor of deregulation. They were in favor of NAFTA. So then people went anything but right-wingers. Along comes Barack Obama, runs a kind of a centrist Democratic campaign, but it was just an anti-Republican vote at that time. People were going to vote for the Democrat no matter what, so he gets elected. In 2012, honestly, Obama ran an even better campaign that was further left-wing. Well, now we have Hillary Clinton. What's she doing? She's getting her ass handed to her in the sense that Bernie has the heart of the Democratic base. Bernie has independents on his side, proving that you need to run to the left to hold the Democratic base and to get independents on your side. and to get millennials, which is super important for Democrats to win. Bernie has them. What does she do? Run to the right. Run to the right, act like it's 1992 because all my idiot strategists tell me, hey, you're supposed to run to the left in a primary, to the right in a general, and then you win. Except there's another gigantic structural problem with this idea of a general election pivot. It is institutionalized lying. So you start out by saying, yeah, raise the minimum wage, fight for unions, let's do something to stop climate change, money in politics is bad, and then you get to the general and you go, oh, we need to sit down with business leaders as well as union leaders, and we need to make sure that taxes are fairly low, and do we do something on wages? Maybe something, but we cut a deal. We don't go crazy and increase unemployment by raising the minimum wage too much, and this is what you do. So the entire time you're going, what are the political wins? Okay, now let me be a typical scumbag politician, feel it out, and do what I think people want me to do, and in reality, that's not even what people want you to do. People want you, at least today, people want you to be populist, to be on the side of the people, to be anti-establishment, but she can't do that because she is the establishment. She is the establishment. So now she runs to the right because she's already saying, hey, I'm already done here. I'm doing the general now. And Bernie's like, what the fuck? Do you know I'm still in the race? Yeah, I don't know. You're too far back for me to care. Bernie would need to win 67% of the pledged delegates moving forward in order to win. There was a time when Ted Cruz was still in the race where he needed even if he got 100% of the pledged delegates, or they don't have pledge and super delegates, if he just got 100% of the delegates moving forward, he still wouldn't have won. Trump still would have won. So when that was the case, the media took it seriously. Everybody was acting like, ooh, viable opponent, even though he was mathematically eliminated from the race. I remember we covered the story. He was done, but he stayed in for a few more states. Bernie is not mathematically eliminated. He would need 67% of the pledged delegates moving forward. And everybody's like, oh, get the fuck away. What are you doing? Stop. You're inconveniencing the queen who's trying to pivot here to fight Donald Trump. Well, perhaps the best way for you to fight Donald Trump would be to try to unify the base in the sense that you get Bernie Sanders on your side, you get his supporters on your side by actually being progressive, and oh yeah, by the way, you pick up independents if you were to be progressive too. But you don't know that because you're going off this old model with zero evidence to back it up, and you're making an ass of yourself in the process. And oh yeah, by the way, lying. Because you said, I'm going to debate Bernie Sanders, I guarantee you we're going to do that in California, and you're not doing it. You back down on it. And then naturally, there's that old clip of Hillary Clinton saying in 2008 when she was against Barack Obama, this is the most important job on the planet, guys. So you should be willing to debate anytime, anywhere. Come again, Hillary? Anytime, anywhere, unless, of course, you're running against this thorn in your side, Bernie Sanders, who's actually a liberal, and then you want to run to the right for the general to take on Donald Trump, but he keeps getting in the way. No, he's not getting in the way. He's fighting for the American people. He's fighting for the country. He's fighting for the future, whereas you, on the other hand, are fighting for yourself. This is narcissism 101. You feel entitled to that office, so you're trying to take the path of least resistance. Well, guess what? You're only going to lose voters that way because you're alienating more of the Democratic base when you do this, and you're also losing more independents when you do this, and you're losing more millennials. All of that, it's so important for you to have in the general, but you just don't care because I'm done with him. I'm done with him. And you need to run to the right to latch on to this old model which does not work. They really think, she thinks if I run to the right, I'm going to pick up some moderate Republican votes. No Republican is going to vote for Hillary unless you're talking about establishment Republicans, elite Republicans who are neocons who don't like Trump. Those are the only Republicans in the country that would consider voting for Hillary. None of the Republican base is going to vote for Hillary. None of the right-leaning independents are going to vote for Hillary. Very few of the independents are going to vote for Hillary. So you're running to the right to pick up people who are just not that into you, and they're not going to vote for you no matter what. Whereas people who would consider voting for you on the left, you're snubbing. Another giant mistake from Hillary Clinton's campaign. There's a change.org petition now to get her to debate. I retweeted it the other day. Everybody should sign it. And then the idiot parade attacked me. Oh, there's already been 20 debates. Get over it. Okay, number one, no. As other people on my Twitter feed rightly pointed out, there's been 9 so far. And as I pointed out, good point. It's not like they're running to be the most powerful person on the planet. Except they are. and you should want more information. You should want more policy discussion. You should want more debates. God forbid you really, really vet every candidate and make sure you know whether or not they're telling the truth and where they stand on the positions. I know we wouldn't want that in what's supposed to be a representative democracy.